Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Uncanny X-Men issue number 17. This book channeled Chris Claremont more than any X-Men book in recent memory. This was an amazing issue. Let's get into it. If I had one complaint, it's this. They decided to name this book We Have Always Been, Part 1. No, it should have been called Funeral for a Friend. But I guess that was just this particular issue. You know what I'm saying? This issue, but it should have been called that. But this is the story arc. So anyway, I imagine that's going to have something to do with what happens later on. So Matthew Rosenberg is the writer on this. Carlos Gomez is the artist. Guru FX on colors. VC's Joe Caramagna on letters. And Wiles Portacio, I think that's how you pronounce this individual's name, and Eric Arcianega. These two did the cover. Stan Lee and Jack Kirby created the X-Men. Rain Sinclair, Wolfsbane, has been killed. She's been murdered. And it's in a way that, look, when I was a kid and I used to read these kinds of stories that Claremont would write, that burn earlier than that, or just, earlier than the later Claremont stories would write, I would see these and I wouldn't know what the hell was going on because I was just a dumb kid. You know what I'm saying? And later on, I would realize, oh my God, they were talking about all the marginalized communities out there. Yes. You know what I'm saying? So all those analogies back then, today they seem like metaphors, but no, they're still analogies. It's just now we know what to expect from an X-Men comic book, and it's not a good X-Men comic book if it's just a bunch of fighting and there isn't them trying to help some marginalized community disguised conveniently as mutants. But that's what happens in this book. Rain Sinclair is killed by a bunch of mutant phobes. And this was, yes, when you're old enough to understand, it's a commentary on the transphobe community being marginalized and not being safe at all. That's the overlying story here. There's an underlying story here also that I think a lot of us may have missed. You notice that the police were there to help out the murderers later, but they weren't there to help out the mutant in the beginning. Funny how that happened. So, such excellent commentary in this comic book. Like, this comic book was, this is probably my favorite, and I haven't read everything by Rosenberg, but this is probably my favorite Matthew Rosenberg story yet. Because the idea that you've got if you ever read the Dune novels, plans within plans. He's got subtext inside of allegory. God, that was just masterfully done. Beautifully done. So the Wolverine and Cyclops, of course, go their own separate ways. And later on, Cyclops has a problem with that. Okay, not a problem. Anybody who's read the X-Men comic books, at the very least, it's inarguable from Astonishing X-Men on. Before that, it was debatable, but Astonishing X-Men on, you can't argue this at all. Like, your arguments fall on deaf ears. Wolverine and Cyclops have always gone at it with each other, and Cyclops has typically been in this one case. Cyclops was right, but not when he's arguing with Wolverine. When he's arguing with Wolverine, Wolverine's usually right. And this is probably no better evident than in Cyclops' hypocritical formation of the X-Force. No killing. Okay, listen, Wolverine, just between you and me, I need you to form this secretive team that nobody else can know about, where you and a couple guys go out and you kill people. Like, dude, sorry. I love Cyclops, but one of the main reasons why I love Cyclops is not this blind loyalty to the character. No, I love Cyclops because he is a very complicated person. He is so damn complicated, and he's really good at playing politics. But he's got a temper, especially when it comes to Wolverine. Very evident here. Extremely evident here. But Wolverine, the guy with the berserker rage, is the one who usually has more control in these fights. Because, yeah, he gets mad, but he's also talking to Scott the whole time, and he's preaching truth. And he shows Scott to be a hypocrite in this one, and Scott can't take it, and that's when all of a sudden the first punch is thrown. Every single page of this comic book was just so perfectly etched. And if you think I'm skimping on the arc, dude, take a double take, because wow, the art in this comic book, look, let me just open up to any old page. Okay, there's a commercial. Let's try the bit. Okay, fine, let's do this one. God, you're gonna argue that's not amazing art? Jeez, and like, just look at the way that Wolverine is drawn. In this issue, he's extremely bestial. You know what I'm saying? So he looks like, forget about how shredded he is. His face, he looks Cro-Magnon. You know what I'm saying? Like, just sick, dude. This is... God. I love this. I love this. Every single bit about this X-Men comic book. This is one of the best X-Men comic books I've ever read. Ever. Also, the part about the end. I don't want to get too into it, but I will show you they're showing the next issue. They're showing the cover for the next issue, without the dressing, of course. Yeah. That's the most important one. Loves me some Mystique. And I know with these two working together, we in trouble. But I loves me some Mystique, and Mystique was the main focus at the end of this book. All I'm going to say is, why did Kane Marco know and nobody else knew? You know that Kane Marco, the Juggernaut, usually has that shielding on his head. You can see the figure over here, the 7 to 8 inch figure over there. He usually has shielding over his head, the psychic shielding. So just because it's off now, I guess that means that while he had it on is when that little, mass worldwide suggestion must have gone out that she don't exist. I love this comic book. I love this comic book. Dude, Rosenberg has a way of taking his time to get to something, but once he's there, I feel like I've been punched a couple times, bro. All right. Real quick, social commentary. Actually, might not be quick. Give me about 5 minutes or so. Otherwise, if you don't like that, by all means, go away. It's been great having you, Professor Bell, Comic Book University. You are dismissed. The class itself, we're staying here for a little bit extra credit. About 2008, 2009. I remember I had a Mustang. I hand painted it blue with black on the bottom under the trim. Like, it was a good car. It was a good car, man. And what do you call it? I got a flat tire. Pulled into the to a local mall. I knew there's going to be plenty of parking, so I can pull over and I'm not going to get hit by a car while I'm changing my tire. And yes, I had a spare, not a donut. I had enough room in my trunk that I could have a spare. And I'm sitting there changing my tire. Got my scissor jack, got my spider. You know what I'm saying? Doing what I got to do. I'm wearing a pair of jeans, not apple bottom jeans. That's kind of important because anybody who's met me, if you happen to see me walking away, I don't have much of an ass. I'm just saying, I don't have much of an ass. I could be an ass, but I don't have much of an ass. It looks like 2 zits, at the top of my pants, just kind of, sticking out a little bit. I don't have much of an ass, all right? But somehow in those jeans, I guess I looked like, whatever. Had my jean jacket on, had the 4 Zeppelin symbols sewed on, to the side. I was going to get a nice airbrush, black and white, of Jimmy Page with the double neck on the back. I never did. It was very expensive. Anyway, and of course I had my long hair. This was the first time I'd grown my hair long to donate it to kids who needed wigs, because they were going through chemotherapy and whatnot. What do you call it? This is going to be my 3rd time doing it. So anyway, they, what have you now? I'm sitting there changing my tires, and these 2 guys come up in their car. Fortunately, they didn't get out of their car, because that would have spelled bad news for them. They pulled up, and I hear them talking. Mind you, military. Sometimes I don't hear certain sounds, all right? Just accents that happen, whatever. But these guys I could hear very clearly, about 3 car lengths away. That was the distance they were away, and over my left shoulder, behind me. And I hear, hey, should we get out and help? Hey, man, go help. You know what I'm saying? See if she needs help. It's cool. I understand biases. Guys aren't supposed to have, because we're all supposed to conform to everybody else's, wishes. Don't forget, if you try to make everybody happy, you're going to be the loneliest dead guy ever in your grave. So their confirmation biases were that guys aren't supposed to have long hair. So I must have been a chick. They should have actually looked at my butt. They would have seen there's no way that's a chick. So, what do you call it? They're like, hey, you need some help? I know they were just trying to get laid. I know they thought that I was a chick. So I turned around so they could see my beard. And it's like, no, I got it. Thanks, guys. And right away, what I hear, instead of just, okay, cool, and then drive away, no. Effing F. They called me both F words. Cute. This is why I say it's a good thing they didn't get out of their car. What do you call it? So they drive away, kind of fast for them. There was no... if he could have burned rubber, he would have, but he didn't have a cool car. So he just, drives away, like, would have been cooler if he could have peeled out, left me in smoke, but no. It's cool. What happened? What happened with this guy? Somehow he thought that I was a girl, and when he realized I was a guy, he thought that somehow I was tricking him. No, he didn't think I was tricking him at all. He was confused. He was confused. He made a mistake, and then when he realized it was a guy, how could I be attracted to somebody who's clearly a guy? So he was confused. He thought maybe somehow he might be a little bit gay. When I used to watch Daily Motion, I saw this image of a vagina. I'm like, it was a video. I was like, some chick is showing her vagina. She's showing the vag, man. Yeah, how you doing? And it's a close-up shot, and then they pull it back, and you realize it's a guy doing that with his arm, with the crook of his elbow right there. And he goes back, and you see his face. He's all like, looking at you like, gotcha. And I looked, and I was like, you got me. I didn't think to myself, I'm going to send this guy hate mail. I'm going to make a death threat or something like that. Because even when I was a kid, I wasn't a stupid kid. I just looked at it as like, nice one, jerk. Now I got to go look at porn. So, man, I wasn't offended by that at all. These guys, especially the driver who had all the things to say, he's the only one who spoke so, loudly, like to me, as opposed to each other. This is the very definition of toxic and, more specifically, fragile masculinity. Offering me help because he thought that I was some helpless girl. Like, you're a guy. You know what I'm saying? And you're obviously not, your typical guy because you don't have a cool car. You don't look like you could actually help me with the freaking, tire. I don't think you know how, what are you going to do to help me? I've already got the car up on a jack. I've already got the one tire off and I'm putting the other tire on. It must have been, I must have been China. I must have been Joni Law, China, ninth wonder of the freaking world, putting this tire on the way that I did. I wasn't like rolling it up. I just picked it up and put it on. You know what I'm saying? Aligning it and everything. What are you going to do? What are you going to do to help me that I'm obviously not doing by myself? But a girl must need help. That's toxic masculinity. Fragile masculinity, realizing it was a guy and you being confused, thinking, does that mean I'm gay now? Maybe it does. Maybe it does. How about that? But no, it doesn't. In reality, no, it doesn't. And if you weren't so inundated with fragile masculinity, trying to do what you think it means to be a guy, as opposed to just being a guy, then it wouldn't have been an issue. It would have been like me looking at that Daily Motion video of this guy's elbow, the crook of his elbow, and not thinking to myself, am I gay? Am I attracted to the crooks of guys' elbows? I never thought that for a second. I literally just looked at it as, got me. And I moved along. Because that person was actually trying to get us. I wasn't trying to get anybody. I'm just changing my freaking tire. And this guy is such a massive pussy that he felt the need to project. Because by him calling me an effing F, no, I'm not. In fact, you are. Why? Because you're projecting. That's what he did. That's all he did. That's all that was, 100%. People who are not confident in themselves project. That's why it's always cool when someone starts slinging insults like that. You are clearly trying to put your own... It's like the Batman syndrome, except, not cool. Not the cool Batman. The pussy Batman. I am afraid of bats, so therefore I will turn into a bat and make my fear theirs. And that's exactly what this pussy did. What a shame. What an absolute shame. And like I said, good thing he didn't get out of the car. Because acting like that around me when you're within arm's length and I've got a tire iron, I'm just a guy from Jersey, man. So, yeah. It's a shame that kind of thing exists in the world. But that's immediately what I thought about when I was reading this comic book. This was a solid issue. absolutely loved this. Like I said, probably the best X-Men comic book that I've read in the past 5 years or so. And that's that. Guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.